Okay, so this is the Missing the Mark lecture part 2, and the topic is Homo Spiritus. Now, I was talking to you in part 1 about Dr. David R. Hawkins, the scale of human consciousness, and what different items are on that scale of consciousness. And that Dr. Hawkins said for this lifetime, he recommended people aim to hit 540 unconditional love, through the process of what he called letting go. And, but he said that we are on a spiritual journey and we're not supposed to stop at 540. Beyond 540, we want to aim for 1,000, which is the highest you can be at while you're a human in this human biological form, is the way he put it. And he said once you get there, then you are going to change and you're going to become a new species called Homo Spiritus rather than Homo sapiens sapiens. And a lot of the things he talked about that people have to go through as they rise through the levels of consciousness to higher levels of consciousness. Well, he said that the spiritual energy, because if you remember, it's a logarithmic scale, so there's way more energy at higher levels of consciousness. And he said in order to, run these higher levels of consciousness in your human body, if you're not prepared, you're basically going to burn out your body because the nerves are not designed to handle this incredible amount of energy. And he talked about how Jesus bled in the gardens of Gethsemane. He talked about various saints in history who had a lot of physical ailments, physical problems. So in today's vernacular, we call these ascension symptoms. Heart palpitations, ringing in the ears, itchy skin, aches and pains in your bones, sometimes diarrhea, vomiting, headaches, migraine headaches. I can't remember, it's like neuropathy, which is nerve pain. And then, so those are sort of the ones that you don't like. The ones that you will like are things like enhanced seeing synchronicities or coincidences, deja vu, premonitions, feeling like you're almost getting telepathy, like you think of somebody and then, 2 minutes later they phone you or they send you a text message or something. So, those are signs that, you're not deathly ill sick with these things. These are signs that they're ascension symptoms, and that, the pains that are coming up, some people say, well, they're former traumas that are coming to the surface, perhaps even from past lives, to be processed and let go of. Or perhaps it's just the energies that's coming through you are of higher energy than, your body is designed for. Some people will say, well, maybe you need to change your diet and have a higher quality food, organic food. Some people say, maybe you stop eating meat. Some people will say, well, you need to drink a lot of water. But there's various opinions. Some people will say, well, if you feel too spacey that you should eat meat. Some people say, well, some plant medications you should avoid at all costs, avoid prescription medications at all costs. And other people will say, well, I feel better with, plant medicines, marijuana and things. So how could it be bad? So anyway, if you're figuring about ascending to, and I don't know, like the New Age people talk about like the fifth dimension. where does the fifth dimension reside on the scale of human consciousness? I've not seen anyone say, well, on the scale of human consciousness, 540 unconditional love is where the fifth dimension begins. I'm going to guess that might be right. But I don't know. And I cannot muscle test anymore. I don't know why. But I used to muscle test all kinds of things. It's just when I try, it doesn't work. So, Dr. Hawkins used to say it was permission-based to be able to do muscle testing. He always says, do we have permission to muscle test a question? And he always said it was basically God that decided whether you can muscle test it or not. So, for whatever reason, perhaps it was God that decided that I'd muscle tested enough, and now all I do is I flap my gums and give you lectures. What is beyond 1,000? Angels, archangels, I suppose some ascended masters, but if you try and figure out if a sage is at 750, and they can counterbalance so much negativity. But what does it mean if, by counterbalancing all this negativity, if we still see so much negativity, like on the planet and among people that you see in your day-to-day world? Well, a person based in reason would say, well, it's, whatever we've done, we've prevented the nuclear war, but maybe somehow these higher dimensional beings and ascended masters and sages have done something because of their higher spiritual power to prevent nuclear annihilation of the planet. That's all for your lecture. Missing the mark. So are you missing the mark? What mark do you want? Do you want 540? You need someone to calibrate your consciousness and see if you're at 540. If you want to be a sage, then you get to 540, you got to keep going. If you want to be like Jesus or Buddha or Krishna, Shiva, you have to get to 1,000. If you want to be an archangel, you got to go blazing past that point. So you got to set your intention where you want to go. You decide. I'm Harry Weaver, the commentator here on this channel.